I'd like to open the planning board meeting for, what's the date today? July 12th, 2021. Members present, Richard Swanson, Sam Corbett, and myself, Mike Baptiste.
You want to get a little closer to your mic?
Pardon?
Can you get a little closer to the mic?
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Get there, Bob? First on the agenda, approved minutes for 27th of January, March 9th, 2000, September 28th, October 19th, October 26th, November 9th, November 23rd, December 28th, January 11th, 2021, January 25th, February 1st, February 8th, February 22nd. Is any questions? Anybody have a chance to review the minutes?
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes for those dates read into the record earlier. Next order of business, modification for special permit.
You gonna take a vote on that too?
Pardon?
You gonna take a vote on that too? Official
I
vote?
think we got to vote.
We did, 3-0.
Thank you.
Preliminary business, 821 modification special permit site plan review for Lowe's Home Garden Center, Lowe's Home Center, LLC.
All there was a signing of the decision, and
Did that.
you did that.
Reimbursement of A&R for lots 15 is shown on land court plan 302G for Mallory Deacus at Tower Terrace.
Mr. Chairman, this is an A&R that you had previously approved. What happened is they had to go back to land court and get additional information shown on the plan. So what I'm looking for is a re-endorsement of the plan that was previously approved with the additional information that land court requires.
Is that additional information anything significant that we should be concerned with?
What was the information that was missing? You know offhand, Ken? You know offhand what the
It's ties and meets and bounds and additional survey information that's put on there to clarify the location of the boundaries. It's all in red on the plan. Everything else is the same.
This one right off the Main Street.
Yeah, just the red is all new additions. No, that's what land court required. It's their responsibility to ask for the information that land court requires.
We reviewed that pretty clearly.
Having no question, Ken will get the document to endorse on that? That's always in front of me.
That's the, I don't have the original file in the box here,
Okay.
but I can get you a pen and you can sign it.
So I could just sign the Mylar, right?
Just the Mylar.
These people should know that this has been moved.
That's not tonight.
I know, but they're people to speak to.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know how that works when.
Next order of business is an A&R for David Fletcher, 0 Route 25, map 15, lot 1000.
Right. Good evening. Oh, my, sorry. Betsy Mason, Claiborne's Law Group, on behalf of Long Road Energy. Here again, I understand that Town Council has weighed in on whether our plan can be endorsed as an A&R plan.
Are you going to speak up a little bit, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was, yeah, I thought it was being super loud. So still here seeking endorsement of the plan we submitted as an A&R plan.
Can you turn the AC down a little bit for noise purposes? I'm sorry. I think they've been doing some work on the speakers to make our hybrid environment more effective. So I haven't seen Attorney Bowen's input.
No, he was unfortunately unable to address.
That's awful.
Let me try to change my mic. It's testing. Testing. The Town Council Attorney Rich Bowen was unable to address the issue. I think we can make a decision though on our own without his input. I think it's obvious that this is not a subdivision. Your choices are to either require it as, be submitted as a subdivision, or endorse it as a plan of what it shows of a property included in the land records. It does not show a subdivision, so I think it is appropriate that you say that it's as an approval not required, and issue the endorsement of the plan.
Mr. Chairman, I updated you at our last meeting as to the research I've done. I've done some more. And it's become very clear to me that, it's become very clear to me in reading the case law that the question of subdivision or not subdivision is the one and only yes/no question to a planning board when an A&R is submitted. The A&R is designed to, for use only and not for density or dimension or access. And the plan that was submitted does have all the traditional, I'll call them caveats, in saying that the planning board, this endorsement of an A&R does not mean it's a buildable lot, does not mean it has access, does not mean it has all those standards. And I couldn't find any case law where a denial of an A&R was upheld on any that was challenged. So it will be my position tonight that we still accomplish everything we want to in terms of maintaining the lot as a non-buildable lot, but we should endorse it. I shared with this board a document from the town of Acton that was very clear that an A&R used in this case is a common practice for zoning freeze. So while I don't like it, and I don't like the laws being used for intentions that they weren't designed, it's clear that the court has seen this as a valid use of the law. So that's where I'm at.
I would just point out that this was something that was contemplated by the state legislature when they passed the law that allows the freeze to occur. And this was given as an option available to the development community.
I just wish we had just a a freeze law, how to do a freeze, and not confuse planning boards with subdivision and throw that all together. That doesn't make sense to me. But, that being said, you're doing your due diligence. I think I've done mine, so that's where I'm at.
So what's the board's pleasure?
I would vote to approve it. I would make a motion to approve this A&R for endorse for David Fletcher at 0 Route 25, map 115, lot 1000, project 24-21 A&R.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Second by Sam. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vote 3-0 to endorse a Form A for David Fletcher, 025 map 15-1000.
Do you have a Mylar of that plan?
I can get one. I
All right,
can
you
send
have to
one.
get one so we can endorse it then.
Absolutely, yes. And thank you for your careful consideration of the issue. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll get it back to you hopefully as soon as I can, but no later than the end of the week.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, enforcement of site plan special permit, Master Millworks, 55 Charlotte Furnace Road, map 105, lot MA2.
This was put on the agenda in case some information came in from Master Millworks, and I have not received anything in my office. I don't know, Charlie, if you've received anything either.
No, nothing's come in to me. No.
All right, then the rush that they had to make the work happen isn't quite a rush, I guess, as initially thought.
I don't know why we haven't received it, but I haven't yet.
All right,
Probably got stuck in all the sand with all this rain we had. Okay, that's on the back burner then, till next agenda.
right.
Next on the agenda is 4 and 6 Shell Lane, release a covenant for Mark and Cheryl Conley.
Hi.
Hi, we speak name and the,
My name is Mark Conley from 6 Shell Lane.
what's the status on that, Ken?
I visited the site today. I have a couple of pictures of it. It looks like it was done according to the plan, and the grass is growing. It's stabilized. The erosion control, sediment erosion controls are still up and on the road, but the work seems to have been completed as intended. I don't know if we have a report from, I don't think I have a report from municipal maintenance or our consulting engineer on the condition of the road though either.
Charlie, did you have a chance to take a peek at that, or?
I've never seen any documentation at all, Mr. Chairman, so I don't know. I have no idea what it's about.
We'll wait for municipal maintenance to respond then on that one, unless the board wants to take my word that the construction was done in accordance with the plan.
Pleasure of the board.
I need you to refresh my memory here. I remember on this property,
Yes, sir.
we looked at the road
Yep.
and we saw the application and we decided very quickly to withdraw the application and go fix the road.
Yes.
Right, did we actually have an engineering spec that the road was going to be built to?
Yes, we had, I gave a plan for review last week to the planning board, and I,
Last week?
no, not the plan, the as-built, I'm sorry. So
All right.
I had a plan, got approved, did the work, and supplied the as-built last week, I believe it was.
That's the part I'm not recalling. I live right near there. I've been down there. You've done a great job.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
Compared to what it used to be.
Thank you so much. And, we've taken pride with the
But-
grading and the swales.
But I'm not an expert, though.
No, Yeah, Matt Costa from the engineering company that made it, gave me the as-built, and I turned it in.
Can you refresh me? That's the one off, right after Lily is?
Yeah.
is that
Yeah,
what-
we met out there some months ago.
How are you doing with the water with all this rain?
There was no puddles at all, and the swales that were designed from
what they're
Friday, I
supposed
went down there Friday and had a look at during the storm that we had, and then down there today, and
See these?
I'll agree with that, that there was no standing water at all on the road.
Where were the pictures taken, Ken?
Pictures were taken this afternoon. Let me see if I can find them.
Pleasure of the board.
I need to ask a question of our consulting town engineer. Charlie, is this something typically that you would take a look at? Or
If requested,
but not always, right?
well, it has to come from your board, I just can't do it on my own, so
I
there's been no request either through planning or your board to do that, so.
I'm good with this. I will make the motion to release the covenant at 4 and 6 Shell Lane on behalf of Mark and Cheryl Connolly.
Second, and agree.
Motion made and second to release the covenant for Shell Lane. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote 3-0 to release the covenant on Shell Lane for Mark and Cheryl Connolly.
thank you very much, gentlemen, I appreciate it, and thank you for the compliment, and I'm not familiar with the process. Do you guys send a letter saying that it,
There'll be a form actually for a release of covenant that you can file on the land records.
okay, so I go online and get that form and then file it to you?
We'll provide the release of covenant to you.
Okay. So you guys will just send it to me
Yeah.
at some point?
We'll send it to you, and then you can file that on the land records.
Oh, very well. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it, guys.
So in the meantime, can we go clamming down off your beach?
You can, it's pretty good there, too.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, but you just can't go on Sundays. The tide was perfect Sunday, and it's like, can't go today.
Till after Labor Day, yep.
Yeah, all right, thank you
Good
again.
luck.
I really appreciate it.
Next on the agenda, enforcement of special permit on Winship Ave.
I had a request by one of the planning board members to put this on and report anything that was public knowledge on the condition of the special permit and enforcement of it. But I have no actions to report. The building commissioner has not taken any action, and town council has not responded from whatever action was taken by the Board of Selectmen on the notice of the condition of the property.
So who's in the hot seat right now, Ken? The Board of Selectmen? How they get involved in this?
Well, the Board of Selectmen have to approve the legal action that you would ask for.
Can I give an update, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
So, I'm going to give you a chronology of events that took place, and for the purposes of letting this board know where we stand on this special permit enforcement and probably any other special permit enforcement. So, what we had done is we had worked with town council and the building commissioner and on this property and the lack of execution against the special permit. And we left our meeting with a plan to go to court on the basis that a good faith effort had not been made by Mr. Clemmy to comply with the special permit.
Mr. Swenson,
Sure.
you're talking about information that was developed, discussed in an executive session.
I'm trying very hard to keep it right at that.
You're walking on a razor blade.
I understand that. However, Mr. Bowen has to get permission from the Board of Selectmen to execute any legal proceedings. And he went to the Board of Selectmen a week later, and I am presuming that he got new information, because at that time he reported to the Board of Selectmen that he felt that the case was not winnable. And the Board of Selectmen denied or did not approve taking Mr. Clemmy to court at that time. However, town administrator and the building commissioner had met with Mr. Clemmy, and they had come up with a plan, supposedly with timelines and deliverables against that timeline to remedy the situation. I haven't seen that plan. I've asked for that plan. I have been to the property, and there are 3 dump loads of topsoil that have been delivered, but they've been there for about a month
Well, the
now.
weeds are growing up in that now. I
Right.
noticed that, yeah.
I was down there today. They haven't been distributed. But the key point I want us to understand is that we are not the enforcement officer, or nor do we have one. The enforcement of any and all special permits or permits in this town is the responsibility of the building commissioner and the building commissioner alone. And we can request him to take action, but it is his prerogative to do so as he sees fit. So that's where we are right now.
So in other words, we're back in a situation where we're not the captain of our own ship.
That's how I see it.
I think that's a piss poor way to run a business, but
And I think it's something that I think we need to address. We
That's-
don't need to address it tonight,
no,
but
no.
but
Okay.
it's something, I wanted everyone to know where I thought we were anyway.
Okay, I think what we should do is note it in the record that we'll take this up at a later date amongst ourselves or whatever, and something has to change.
One last comment I will make is that I talked to a member of the Board of Selectmen, I won't say who, and expressed my disappointment that the planning board wasn't invited to their executive session to hear their decision on the recommendation that we had made. The planning board was not notified of their decision to not move forward. I don't think we'd know this information unless we had reached out on our own to find out what was going on. So we have some work to do.
Okay. Sam, I noticed you was perching up on your seat there. I thought you was gonna...
I'm just tired of it, Mr. Chairman. This is years now. Promises are made, timelines are given. I don't think it means anything to him. It's been years of ignoring it. I know we can't do anything right now, but it's frustrating.
Well, I think to take that one step further, it's not just this particular case. It's a lot of cases that happen time and time again. You know, we come in and waste our time, we go through the motions, and we get outvoted by the people on top of the hill. We'll take care of that another time. We won't bore the public with this.
One of the things I think you have to consider is what actually you want the site to look like. Because most of it is covered right now in vegetation, and it's green. Did you want a manicured lawn instead? What
We want
maybe
a
maybe the
Shangri-La.
question is,
Wildflowers, you know.
there are wildflowers in there.
And rocks and piles of dirt and sunflowers and weeds.
One of the things we learned in this whole process is that our special permit should have been much more specific in terms of...
Doesn't make any difference.
And timeline.
You know.
Yeah, your point's valid, but...
Okay. I think we better move off of this subject because I think I can see us going down a rat hole there tonight.
The question now is, what do we do?
Wait till we get a full board and talk amongst ourselves and, I don't know. I know it's frustrating as heck. That was good. I didn't swear.
It's been years.
Yeah.
I understand.
Next on the agenda, Timothy
Schifoni.
Schifoni, Tow Road, 3 Tow Road. Is that applicant here? What's the story in that? Can you give us any insight on that, Ken?
Yeah, it's a,
Is that the new home of Doobies?
that's correct. That's the new home of Doobies.
Is that Promise site, the J&I site? If I'm not,
Yes.
wow. What are they looking for us today? For an A&R?
They're exchanging a small piece of property between BB's Restaurant and the 3 Tow Road. And I'll bring the plan up right now.
The tiny piece.
Oh, that little strip where the easement was between for the sewer? I think there was a road there or whatever.
There's a road that goes behind, that splits the industrial park. But I have the plan on the screen.
You seen it, Richard?
Yeah. Have you seen it? You see it?
So what do they want us to do? What are they doing? They're cutting that strip out?
They're taking this strip, they're creating this strip here. If you can see my cursor on the plan.
I
Yep.
can.
0.22 acres?
This is Tow Road coming down here. This is the former towing maintenance facility.
So what action does this A&R, are they actually subdividing this property?
Yeah, they're creating this parcel here.
Which one?
This one in, can you see the cursor?
Is that meet density requirements of a lot in this district?
No, it's not a building lot.
Is it identified as such?
Yes, it is. Parcel area of 9,434 square feet, 0.22 acres, not a buildable lot. There's, I'm pretty sure there was a drainage easement going across there, a sewerage easement to the restaurant, and that was put in when Tow Road was built, or that subdivision, probably for
Have this here.
access or whatever.
What does the existing lot look like now, and they're just adding that one line to create this one strip?
That's right. They're just taking a chunk off of the property to the north and taking that strip so it adds to the rear of the property that fronts on Route 28, Cranberry Highway.
Is the applicant here? Is it fair to ask what the purpose of doing this is? Is that a fair question?
It is a fair question. I don't know why.
I think I know from the past, the sewer easement for the restaurant, which is Timothy in the front, which is BB's,
Right?
goes across there, connects to the sewer, to tie in.
It ties in on Tow Road there?
Right, and it goes across that easement, so now, by him owning that land, he controls
Hmm.
the life of that easement or whatever.
So he's got one big lot.
Yes, in the front.
He's sliced off an end of it
Yep.
on a non-buildable lot. What's left over still meets all density requirements.
Yeah, all
That's
this,
correct.
yes, yeah, there's 2.57 acres on the other parcel still left, or the main parcel. And it's just that easement that goes across there. That road's right between Tow Road and the bank.
I don't see any issue with it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any questions from anybody? There's nobody in the audience here to... Okay, it's the board's pleasure.
Move to approve A&R
Endorse.
20, I'm sorry?
Or endorse?
Endorse, sorry. Move to endorse A&R 2721 for Timothy Chiafoni at 3 Tow Road, map 108, lot 1019.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vote 3-0 to endorse Form A for Timothy, whatchamacallit, BB's. You got a sheet for us to sign on that, Ken?
I do not have a Mylar of that plan to sign tonight. Has to be picked up later.
Okay. Continued public hearings, modification for special permit, approval for definitive subdivision of Bay Point. That's continued to another date, I believe, the 22nd of July, 27th?
The 26th.
Why?
It's being requested to extend it to the 26th.
Okay. And the next on the agenda, next continued public hearing.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to ask our consulting town engineer. Charlie, I went through your report, and I was just curious if you had had any dialogue with the Bay Point folks at all on this so far?
I had one email from, who was it? It was one email from Bay Point anyway, asking me if the report was done, and I said it was on its way. That was the last I heard.
Okay. Well, I've always found, the reason I asked.
Chris Reynolds, I guess it was.
I've always found that the issues that you bring up are generally dealt with very efficiently when you do work one-on-one with the people on site, so I'm just hoping that happens again.
That
I've
was
heard
a
nothing.
request of Tim Fay that a meeting be arranged between Principe, our consulting engineer, and Tim Fay and myself to go through the comments. They are pretty much in agreement with all the changes being requested, but there are a couple of points that they wanted to discuss, and we'll sit down and discuss them.
Are they things that deal with issues that the planning board should look at, or is it technical stuff?
Probably a little bit of both. So what he wants to do is go through it with you first, and then bring it to the planning board for further discussion.
Okay.
Is that acceptable with you, Charlie?
I'm sorry?
Is that acceptable with you?
That's fine, if, just in case there are things that we feel that the board should look at. I don't want to make any decisions without you having a chance to hear it first.
Yeah, to be clear, I look to you to drive on those technical issues with the local technical people and report back that you're satisfied, and we can.
Anything like that we can clear up so it doesn't take the board's time is fine with me, but if it becomes a decision with respect to details of the special permit and the conditions of it and so forth,
Right.
I'm certainly willing to listen to what they want, but I would reserve comment at this point until I know what they are and to bring them to you at a future date.
Okay, we put our faith in you, Charlie.
Thank you.
You're carrying the ball for us here. Next on the agenda, I see continue to the 26th of July also,
That's correct.
the site plan review for Wareham LLC, 91 and 101 Fairing Hill Road, map 97, 91, 71 lots, 1,000 and 1,007.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask why?
I have no idea. We'll have to
I mean, it's on the agenda, and then it just gets written and continued. That's, seems to be something we do often.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that having it on the agenda was an error. They had requested to come back on the 26th.
That's correct. That was my mistake, that I thought it was requested to be continued to tonight's meeting, and instead it was continued to the 26th. They have a lot of work to do, so they needed more time than I had judged. So it shouldn't have been on the agenda, and that's why it's continued to the 26th.
Okay, well, we want to make that clear, so I know there's people out here in the audience. It's going to be the 26th of July. We apologize for somebody's error. We do make mistakes from time to time.
Once the mistake is identified, is it not easy enough to flip it on the agenda announcement?
You're going to,
I agree.
Bob's going to make you come up to the mic, and so you can have that for the records.
Yeah, Annie Hayes. For clarification, as soon as the error was identified, did you change it on the agenda posting on the website?
No, I did not.
So I think that would solve issues.
It would help in the notice to the public, certainly.
It would. Thank you.
Sorry about that, ladies.
Now, I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Even though they're not here tonight, is it appropriate for this board to discuss the application at all?
It's not a good idea because the other board members who are not here have to review the material before they come back to actually sit on the.
Okay. Assume they were here, and that Fairing Hill was properly scheduled for 2 weeks from now, but some of us board members had done some research and had some questions or comments we wanted to make tonight, and we did have a full board, would that be, I can make a case that's not appropriate also.
Well,
Yeah, that's not.
It's not?
It's not, because you.
They're not here to defend themselves.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the public isn't fully told that it was appropriate to have the public hearing continue to tonight
So-
as well.
So help me here, in the interest of efficiency, is there a way for me to communicate with the applicant now to let them know what I'm going to ask of them 2 weeks from now, so they'd have 2 weeks to prepare? Is that
The
something?
appropriate way is to give me the information you want to convey, and I pass it on to them.
Okay, that, perfect.
In the past, Ken, Richard, a lot of times we run into a situation like this. If there were people that had input, so if they came from a long ways or whatever, we would take their input at this time and basically bank it till the applicant was here to defend themselves.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. Thank you.
We apologize.
Check your tires when you go out in your vehicle. Okay, next on the agenda, preliminary subdivision plan for 80 Makepeace is 0 Maple Springs Road.
Good evening. My name's Gregory Sampson. I'm with Womble Bond Dickinson here on behalf of AD Makepeace. I attended the board's meeting last month where we had 4 subdivision plans presented. This plan is a slightly different version of one of those. When we filed the plan, we realized we actually omitted one assessor's parcel, so we redrew the boundary to include it. So it's the exact same preliminary subdivision plan filing that this board reviewed in June, with the exception of one small piece of land that we included in this filing. So I don't know if the, oh, here we go. Believe it's map 115 LC6 was the one that was omitted originally. It is a very small parcel in the far corner of the lot, furthest from Maple Springs Road. And so just to be clear, if you can see what we're proposing again is the same 3 lots created with a cul-de-sac. 2 of the lots have frontage both on the cul-de-sac roadway and on Maple Springs Road, and the large interior lot is just frontage on the cul-de-sac roadway.
So, point of clarification, this is, the original application has been withdrawn and the new one is being submitted tonight?
So it's a good question. There's actually no formal way to withdraw it. Usually, so there's just a process to file a new one, and then we have the option of proceeding with a definitive plan filing based upon either one. So
when was this filed with the town clerk, do we know?
yes, it was filed with town clerk on June 9th.
9th.
I believe you. Not after June 12th.
That's correct.
I think the revision of the plan raises a question as to what the application, when the application was actually filed in complete form. With the zoning freeze involved in this, I think it's worthwhile to take it to council and see if a revision to the preliminary subdivision plan is sufficient to negate the earlier filing pre the town meeting vote.
But if this applicant refiled, prior to town meeting, wouldn't that put him in the proper position to, from his perspective?
It would.
Which, and June 9th was 3 days before town meeting,
Yeah, if that's the case, then that's
right?
protected.
So I'm not sure going to town council is going to buy us anything. No disrespect.
No, that's fine. And, you know, to be honest, if, the reality is if we were to act on the zoning freeze,
Holy
we'll be talking to town council when we file the definitive plan within 7 months.
Hmm.
To your point.
So I'm not sure there's any,
To me, it's a new plan.
pardon me?
To me, it's a new plan.
Yeah, but he filed it on time to freeze it. Charlie, do you agree with that?
I'm not clear that this new plan was filed before the town meeting.
Michael had some paperwork that said it was.
Is that the new plan and includes the lot that was in question?
It is. It was, I have the town clerk's stamp from June 9th.
And that's for this new plan that you're
Correct.
talking about? Then there's no question, it's okay.
It's a new,
At least I knew to ask the question, right? Oh, Lord. Charlie, my question to you was more along the lines of, along the process of withdrawing, negating, canceling a plan and submitting a new one as opposed to a revision, if you will. Clearly, this is a new plan that's being done, and the old one, the words I'm hearing are just kind of hang out there and die on the vine.
That's correct, sir.
If he doesn't follow through on the original plan within 7 months of the definitive, it's dead.
Right.
And under the old plan, the zoning protection would be lost. But if he's got a new plan that he's going to act on within the 7 months, then he's okay with that.
Yep. So I have no issue with accepting the preliminary plan as submitted tonight. I will make a comment. I've been led to believe, Mr. Buckland and Mr. Chairman, that public hearings on preliminary plans are not required. Is anyone have any clarity on that?
It's not, it's not required by state law, but our local regulations imply that a public hearing is necessary.
They
it's
impl-
nice to have.
Pardon me?
It's nice to have.
Why?
It's a courtesy.
Is it something that we traditionally and by precedent have normally done?
Since I've been here, that's what we've done.
Okay.
I'll offer that that's not uncommon. So statute does not require hearing on preliminary subdivision plan, but the model rules and regulations that, subdivision rules and regulations that many cities and towns have used infer a public hearing. So that your process is similar to many other communities I work in.
I just want to make sure that when I have this discussion, I know the answer, so. Not required, but highly desirable and the practice of this town and village, right?
Exactly.
Well said.
Yeah.
Might be something that you'd want to consider modifying your rules and regulations for, so it's clear. I tried to find it in the rules of regs, and I couldn't see it, that it was specific, that you had to have it. It's required, obviously, for the definitive, but your preliminary has no binding and standing anyway. All it is something for discussion purposes, and it starts timelines, that's all it does. And if you've got, during the course of that initial discussion, issues that you want to iron out with the designer or the developer before he gets to the definitive stage, that's when you can do it. But you can say whatever you want about a preliminary plan, it has no final standing at all. It's not until the subdivision plan is filed under the definitive stage that anything that you say has any standing and any validity at all. So, you know, you might say, well, that's going back in your word if you don't go along with it when the definitive comes along, but there's nothing in the statute that requires that.
I just think properly vetting a plan requires a public hearing and a notice so that there's as much public input as possible.
But if
To
you
the-
don't,
to the
if you
plan.
don't notice if you don't notify the abutters and people who have standing, on a preliminary plan, what's the value of it?
It still puts it out to public notice and allows people to respond to the,
I think that's,
we had,
personally, I think it's a dangerous thing to do.
we had people that were neighbors that responded to the public notice, so they were, it was something that they were made aware of because of the public notice.
But they would definitely get it as a part of the definitive anyway, which is the only place that it really matters.
I think the intent of a preliminary subdivision plan is to get as much information out to allow the designer and the proponent of the project to respond to the needs and desires of the town. And they don't have to, but it
It
still
is, but-
allows them to respond to those requests.
The problem with it, though, is it's not a requirement for a residential subdivision. The only time you are required to file a preliminary plan is if you're doing it for a case that they're doing it, or for a commercial enterprise. But you don't need to do a definitive, you don't need a preliminary plan for a residential subdivision. It's not required.
That's right, but it still is, if it's done, then it still provides an opportunity to get input to the proponents of the project.
Understood.
Can we make a policy?
You can make a regulation. We wanted to go through the rules and regulations and amend them anyway. Charlie and I have a couple of changes in the rules and regulations that have been sitting around for a while. What we have to do is set up a public hearing and go through them and change the rules and regs and make everything clearer than it is right now.
I got a list myself.
Yeah.
We all have lists, I bet.
Do we have a timeline?
It's up to you.
Every 6 months, we take whatever we got ready and go to town meeting, right?
Pick a date.
Best way to handle that is probably have a workshop.
That makes sense, Mike, to do that, you know, sort of get your ducks in line and know what things you're going to change.
Yeah.
Then you have the public hearing and do it, and you don't have to waste a lot of time with discussing the whole thing. Work it out ahead of time, then do your hearing.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I have no further questions of the applicant at this time, Mr. Chairman. I suggest we go to public hearing.
Public hearing.
Open it up to the public.
Anybody out in the public have anything to ask of? Come up to the mic, identify yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, Annie Hayes, and I need some clarification. And it's about the change that you've been discussing, and I'm not sure I can follow it all, so I want to ask my questions. There was a submission for a preliminary subdivision of 0 Maple Springs on May 4th, and that was the day after the meeting that you had to have a private discussion about grandfathering in. The 26th was the last a recorded meeting that I've seen, April 26th, and in that meeting, you said you were about to shoot yourself because of the debate about grandfathering and what was what, and it ended that Mr. Rowley, you were asked to speak to Zach Farkas to find out why he felt that you had to do more than the special permitting that you had thought was going to grandfather this in. Is that clear to somebody?
I remember we asked town council for clarification.
I thought you had too, but when I reviewed it today, I thought it was Mr. Rowley. So somebody was asked to review it. And then you had the May 3rd meeting, and then on May 4th, the preliminary subdivision plan for 0 Maple Springs was submitted. That's the date that's on it. So I, as a citizen, never understood. Mr. Buckland, you had said, when asked, that the May 3rd meeting would be to look at the, in the pipeline, 4 projects. Mr. Barrett asked for clarification, and you said 2 for solar, 2 potential solar, 4. Right, and then after that meeting, just coincidentally the next day, this is the subdivision is submitted, and there are then 9 plans totaling a very large amount of acreage that are grandfathered in before the vote. So I looked, and if I'm wrong, you can refer me to a date where I can go on WCTV, YouTube, and find out an explanation of how that evolved. But it seems like there's this black hole for me as a person in the public, where I don't know what happened on the May 3rd. I don't expect you to tell me, except that it was executive session perhaps. But when somebody sees it's 4 and then it becomes 9 and we're up to 1,440, and now the May 4th turns into, the next plan, let me see the date, the June 9th, and it's gone from 435 acres to 471, which I think you have just been discussing. And I'm sort of getting the picture that the Fletcher property is added to the make piece because he's a signatory on this latter plan for June 9th. Is that correct? I mean, that's a long question, but.
I'm having trouble following along with Annie, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, go right ahead. I mean, I think I know what I'm talking about as far as my question, so please.
So the original subdivision plan that you referenced is the one that is being abandoned.
I understand that now,
Okay.
from your discussion.
And now a new one has been brought forth, filed with the town clerk on June 9th.
Before the vote, yes.
Before the vote.
Okay.
And that's what we're seeing today. It's my recollection, and don't ask me what meeting it occurred on, the town council did get back to us and told us that the official start of the clock is when the town clerk receives the application. And I did find that in 48 or 41, Charlie.
41.
It's in 41. It says that's when the stamp.
Section 6, I think.
That's right. I got it. I think I got it right here. I'm just going through it.
48.
That's okay, and I've heard that, but,
But my point is, it's not confusing. We found it. It is section 6, and I got section 6 right here, and I'll let you read it.
okay.
And it says, because I wanted to shoot myself, so I've been doing a lot of reading, so.
That's good, and I think I'm just asking for you to convey why you didn't shoot yourself.
Why?
Why you didn't shoot yourself.
Come on.
Not wishing you had, but,
So, all right,
man.
so are we clear now?
It's the matter of the clock, and because the meeting was changed, the clock kept running up until June 9th for this one, but up until the vote. That's correct. So, okay,
Okay.
right,
Does
got it.
that answer your question, or?
It does. It's just, it was concerning for us to see that many parcels slip in after Nancy had submitted the citizens petition on the 28th of March, and I think the town meeting was canceled perhaps twice, but at least once, and it seemed like it was a not-so-well effort to veil the process of getting these other folks in, right? So I guess that's just putting it out in the public that I needed to do, maybe. The other thing is, as far as preliminary plans, I think it's really important for us to see them, the public to be invited, so that we can get a bit of a handle on where this is, what it's proposing to do, because we have to do our research too. And there was an article in mass.gov today. There's a research inquiry being done on how to enhance public inclusion. And I think that's related to the bills that are in the State House to have mandatory hybrids so that the public can be included. And I can only speak for myself, that's not fair, but I'm going to keep pushing for that, and I appreciate, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, why not? I appreciate you, Mr. Buckland, continuing to work on improving that. This is a hybrid meeting, right?
It is. Yeah.
And it seems to be going better. than the last one?
Except for a little bit of sound problems, other than that, it seems to be working all right.
All right, okay, thank you.
It is section 6.
Any other disgruntled people in the audience out there? Everybody's happy?
No, we're all disgruntled.
Any other comments?
So Ken, what we have to do, we have to set a,
You make recommendations that you want regarding the preliminary subdivision, and any recommendations you have for them to include in the definitive plan submission.
I have none. I think, I think we should close the public hearing on the preliminary, which is how we did all the other ones.
Yeah, you closed it because you opened a hearing. You closed
We
it.
had a one-nighter, if you will, right? So I'd make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we close the public hearing.
motion been made, and seconded by Sam. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote 3-0 to close the public hearing for,
So I have no comments to the applicant at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Sam, you got any comments? I guess I don't have any either. Charlie, you got any?
My only objection to calling it a public hearing is once you close it, you can't get any more information. We actually have a public meeting in which these plans have been submitted.
Yeah.
And it's a part of the agenda, so anybody looking at the agenda can know that there's something coming up. In my view, if you're going to call it a public hearing, then those people of interest, which are the direct abutters, the same as a definitive plan, should get notice. My objection to having a public hearing is that you can have any amount of discussion that you want on the submission of a preliminary plan amongst yourselves.
No teeth.
The public can look at the plans ahead of time. They can participate in the discussion, just the same as you're doing tonight. But if you call it a public hearing, in my opinion, once you close the public hearing, there's no more input,
Right.
either from your side or from the applicant's side. It's done. So if anything further comes in, you can't discuss it.
But in this case, I think, in my opinion, the next thing to come in is a definitive plan. And at that point, we'll have several public hearings and
Absolutely, because that's the only way they're going to be protected, is to pull in the subdivision plans. Then you could look at it from the aspect of all the details that have to be included in that subdivision
Agreed.
plan.
But I look at the preliminary plans and they're such high level, note without a whole lot of detail.
That's the intent.
Yeah, so having continued public hearings on, and our agenda is big enough the way it is, to keep them going. But I hear your point, it's just two different ways to look at it, that's all.
If you decide that you want to call it a public hearing, then I would suggest we look at modifying the language so that it's clear that you're expecting every subdivision, whether it's a residential one or not, to come in as a preliminary plan. Because preliminary plans would be for a lot more than just solar farms. They could be for basically a standard little 5-lot subdivision. If you want to have a public hearing on a regular 5-lot subdivision, you can, but it seems to me a waste. But you've got to be very clear as to what you want to do with it. So, just my perspective.
Now, was that consulting engineer, rules and regulation guy, or concerned citizen? Or all the above?
All the above.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Put me on the spot.
I know, I did, didn't I? I think we're done on this one.
That seems to conclude our agenda on that. Well, we got public comments in the master plan update.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have nothing to report there, Mr. Chairman.
Any other business? I see none. Future meetings, July 26th. Reorganization,
Busy one.
pardon? Yeah. Reorganization of the board. List
I-
of
I-
appointments.
Do I have a place I can make a comment?
Sure.
Did I go by it?
No, you can make a comment.
I just want people to know, as maybe some of you do or don't know, I am the planning board representative to the capital planning committee. One of the member slots on that committee is a planning board member, and I am that member. I can only serve 1 year. My 1 year is up, and we're going to need to have a new one. Keep in mind, we went many years without one at all. But there is an opening coming up. Think about that. When we'll talk more about it when there's a full board.
Sounds good. I know Sam's swimming at the bit. Looks like a good job for him. No other business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote 3-0-0.
Before you go, can I get some signatures on the minutes?